Welcome back, my friends. My name's Steve Niemeyer. This is HCRD.online, and I just keep jumping in here and I keep talking to you because things are happening in the news. Things are getting crazy at work. We're at the end of the school year. We have a week and a half to go, but it's not even that because they only go 2.5 days next week. So anyhow, we'll be done with that. But a lot of people at work have been asking me about what's going on with the news. What do you think about Biden? And do you think he knew? Do you think this whole prostate cancer thing was a cover-up because of this, that, and the other? And I said, stop. I was talking yesterday about having a studio set up inside of Riverside, and now this is one that I already had set up. It's called What Was I Thinking? And it's going to be on the move. It's going to be recorded with the phone sometime. It's going to be just me popping in here going, what do I think about this? Let me tell you, I haven't heard a whole lot about this. I heard the cartoonist that did Dilbert, he has the same diagnosis as what's happening with former U.S. President Joe Biden. And I haven't proofread this, so I'm just going to go ahead and read this like you and I are talking as friends. And I said, hey, did you hear Biden? He's like 82, isn't he? Yeah, well, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. It has metastasized into his bones. It says the diagnosis followed a routine physical on May 16th of this year, prompted by a urinary symptom and the discovery of a prostate nodule. So let's think about what happens here. If he were a typical 82-year-old, once you get past the age of 70, 75, they don't usually check a whole lot of PSA stuff because things can affect your PSA, number one, an enlarged prostate. And they said that usually happens as you get older. And as it enlarges, remember, the prostate is sitting underneath your bladder and the urethra goes through it. And as it enlarges, it doesn't just get bigger this way, it pushes against the urethra and there's not as much flow, and it's a start and stop thing. It's a dribble. It's a just sit down because you're making a mess when we follow you into the bathroom. And then you say, Steve, you can't talk like that. This is prostate cancer. Remember, I've been through this and I can talk about it. I never had that symptom, but that's what's so stinking scary about all of this. Let me repeat, I never had any symptoms. And it ended up being an aggressive form of prostate cancer. My journey is documented in some of the other episodes that we've done. HCRD, Look My Prostate Journey, I think is what it's titled. And that is going to continue to evolve. But this one just kind of jumped out at me today, and people were talking about this. So if your PSA is checked as a 82-year-old because you're having problems. If you have no family history, if you have no this, that, and the other, they say a lot of the men will develop this at some point, but you're going to die with prostate cancer, not because of it, because really low-grade prostate cancer takes a while to develop. And it can go from it's going to take a while to develop to, oh no, pretty quick. And I say that only because that was me. They should have detected this thing and I should have had some more tests ran 3 or 4 years ago. But regardless, when it made that big jump, and I said, oh my gosh, it pretty much doubled they said, yeah, we need to check it out. So this to me is bizarre because if you're having that issue, they would say, well, we're going to run through the gamut of tests to find out what's wrong with you. That's what doctors do. So a PSA could have been part of that. Then the thing is they're going to do the DRE, and they felt a nodule. They felt something on his prostate during the digital exam. Then the next step would be we have to do MRIs and we're going to have to do a biopsy. And it said that after the discovery of the prostate nodule, a biopsy, so they skip some steps, which is important to know. See, they're skipping steps in a news story, and this is what scares me. We're going to talk about the conversation with my daughter, and she goes, well, Dad, maybe since it's in the news, people are going to talk about it. They'll go get a PSA test and they're going to figure it out. Remember, a lot of things can affect a PSA number. You have to have that baseline so when you're young and just go, hey, I know, there is some weird family history in there. Can I get a PSA test? It may be grandpa, great-grandpa, whatever. In your mind, just tell them that grandpa had it, but they found it really late. You just want a baseline. Okay, wait. You don't have to do that crap. Don't even come up with a story. Remember, the doctor, you employ the doctor. Your general physician, your urologist, your whoever you go to, your ophthalmologist, and it doesn't matter. Audiologist, I've been to all of these people, and all the ologists are out there, and you choose them. They don't come looking for you. So if you're not happy with the way they're treating you, just stop and find somebody that you have a better relationship with, where you can talk to and you feel more comfortable with, because prostate cancer is going to get real and it's going to get personal, and you have to understand these steps. If you went from, hey, I feel something, let's do a biopsy. They're doing a blind biopsy. What I mean by that is, if you get an MRI, then they can align everything up when you're in there. They have the live view, right? And it gets in with the MRI, and they can guide where they're taking those little core samples of your prostate tissue out to test it. That's why you have the biopsy. Okay, so his biopsy confirmed prostate, and it's adenocarcinoma with a Gleason score of 9. So we talked about Gleason scores. They go from 6 to 10. And he's sitting at a 9, very aggressive form of cancer. This one is actually hormone sensitive. So an androgen deprivation therapy, or the ADT, in this case, might work. Now, because of the fact that it's metastasized and it's in his bones, and that means it can be wherever it goes, because remember, prostate cancer aggressive, it gets in the bloodstream or whatever. It can be in your shoulder, in your chest, it can be in any lymph node you own. And that's when it's scary, because you go, my options are limited. What the ADT is going to do, it's going to drop his testosterone level to nothing. It zeroes it out. The cancer can't feed on that. And there's been, I guess, enough studies that that's the general consensus, that you can do this and it shrinks and delays the growth. I don't know with this being a Gleason score of 9 what it was. It was a 4 or 5 or a 5-4, and either way, anytime you get a 4 in there or a 5, they're actually morphed into that new cell of ugly that is now spreading quickly. Now, how quickly? I said if he was a normal guy going in at 82, you've been having some symptoms, maybe. What do you think? Well, I thought it was just old age. It's not like when I was in high school or in my 20s. It's tough. I can't go like I used to go. Well, let's figure it out. So you would do a CAT scan, and they would look at the size of your prostate. And you go, ooh, you've got an enlarged prostate. And they go, ooh, there's some things there. Look a little suspicious. Let's do an MRI. The MRI is a lot better, a lot more detailed. They can measure stuff better and tell you what's going on. So a normal person going through these steps is one thing. And what if at 82 you haven't had a PSA test? because it was normal until they stopped doing it at 70 or 75. Let me tell you something. If it was normal your whole life, it's not going to get to this stage that fast. And I say that fast because we remember this is former U.S. President Joe Biden. And Joe Biden had medical staff. And that is part of the tests. When you are president, you are doing a PSA test. They are making sure that you're not sick, you're not compromised, you have your finger on the button. You know, you're the big cheese, the big kahuna, you're the guy that's making the decisions, well, figuratively making those decisions, and you are checked out. You have had PSAs in the past. You have. I don't know when they stopped doing those PSAs. Now, he's older, so, you know, some of the time when you look at PSA tests and all of the things, that wasn't that long ago. So depending on where he's at on the scale. So everybody has taken this disease that I am so passionate about talking about, because I want people to know what is going on with their prostate health. I talk to a lot of people and have a lot of people that I've said, go get your PSA tested. You're old enough now, you can do that. Well, I'm only 52. You should have started it at 50. Unless you have family history, well, I don't think I do. Okay, well, go in and get it checked. If nothing else, you have a baseline. So when you do your annual physical every year, and I hope you're doing that, because that's when they're going to come up with other stuff like, you know, your cholesterol's crazy, you're this, you're that. Cholesterol, is it just a number, or is it just your number? You're on the scale, but whose scale is it? Genetically speaking, I come from a eat fat foods and drink beer in my heritage way back when. But your cholesterol level is hereditary as well as what you're doing. And I think we're seeing more issues with more people because of the garbage that we put in our bodies. I think it's the preservatives. I think it's all the artificial that, you know, hey, we shouldn't be using an artificial coloring agent that's made out of oil. What kind of oil? Oh, crude oil. It's an all-protein. I don't know what it's. Everybody's freaking out, right? They start talking about this stuff. But it can't be good that everything is all boiled down to, you know, one source, like corn. What kind of seed do you have out there? Well, it's a Monsanto 22B 17C74, you know, something like that. And they've got it for that zone and drought resistance, bug resistant, tolerant to everything corn that's growing. So just like all of the things that are happening with you in the medical issues that you may be having, the medical diagnosis that you've received, you're taking medicines for things. I don't know if it's fish oil because you go, my cholesterol's high, and I read I can take fish oil, good fish oil from a reputable place that you can see how much you're taking. Yes, by all means, take fish oil. It lowers your cholesterol. It's going to lower your blood pressure. It's going to keep the blood lubricated and moving, and you should be healthier that way, right? I just can't understand how a president of the United States would not have had such an extensive medical exam every year, every 6 months, every 3 months. He's the president. You know, you're going to take care of him. We spend millions of dollars for him to go from point A to point B with all the people and the planes and all that. We can do a PSA test. We can make sure that he is healthy. But now, my daughter, when she said, maybe they'll talk about it. Maybe people will go get a PSA test. Maybe this is a good thing. It didn't take 12 hours till it turned into a political issue. Well, do you know Mr. Biden had this issue when he was in the presidency. Was it a cover-up? Is that what the Democrats are doing? Do you realize he had dementia? He had this, he had that. And they're piling all this BS on everything because you know what? They want everyone divided and I want everyone together. And that's why I hate politics. And that's why I hate the fact that they're telling this story. They're leaving out steps. They're not pointing people in the right direction. It's buried, go to this website and check things out or whatever. This is affecting a lot of people. I get on the Facebook support group page and every day it's like, you know what, pray for me. I'm going in tomorrow at 8. Oh, you too? I go in tomorrow at 10:30. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And people that are just now going, what do I do with this? My PSA number's crazy high. It's 6.2 and I don't know what to do. What was your PSA score before that? I don't know. Okay. Why are you coming to Facebook? Okay, you're scared. Stop, breathe. You have nothing but time, my friend, because even if something's going to happen, it's going to take a while. The process is a long thing. What does Mr. Biden get to do now? He gets to do radiation. And depending on where it is, they'll do a PET scan. They've already done it. The PET scan, and they'll find out exactly where it is, to what extent, and they're going to go chemo. They're going to do something. Their team will put together, the best possible care for him at this point. There's people that have been in his situation that say, you know what, they told me that this was this crazy death sentence of a diagnosis, and 5 years later I'm here. Yeah, there is a survival rate that is up there, but you don't know. But they were so quick to jump on this political BS. He addressed his diagnosis, expressing gratitude, support from his wife and his family. And he says, cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are the strongest in the broken places. So he's currently consulting with his medical team, and that's already going on. Right? Old news at this point, because our 12-hour news cycle, that's oh my gosh. But anyhow, the announcement sparked scrutiny over Biden's health transparency during his time in the office. Critics, including former President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. It says including former President Donald Trump. They hate the guy that much. He is your president. I know they tried to impeach him. They did that last time, but you know what? No politics right now. They questioned the timing and severity of the diagnosis, with Trump incorrectly citing a non-existent stage 9 cancer. Medical experts have noted that while prostate cancer is typically detected early, aggressive forms can progress rapidly, and current screening guidelines do not recommend routine PSA testing for men over 70. Despite political tensions, both supporters and opponents have offered well wishes to the Bidens following his diagnosis. The former president's condition has prompted discussions about leadership, fitness, and transparency, highlighting the importance of regular health screenings and open communications about medical issues. Well, no shit. This is what ticks me off, and this is what I was thinking. It's this political spectrum where everything has to be put in a political box and dividing people. What about my box over here with my ideas, and you have your box with those? If we don't get together and move into a bigger damn box, we're never going to figure any of this out. It is a very frustrating situation when you start talking about politics and who said what, this, that, and the other. I can't do a lot of that. I have to Lucas Nelson it. He has a song. Turn off the news and plant a garden, because that is a whole lot better idea, because what they're doing is they're driving you wherever you're getting your media sources. They're driving you to whatever they want that conclusion to be. And I remember 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know, something, probably 15, They had everybody on the news all across the country, different news stations with their little emblems and logos and all that stuff. And they were all saying word for word, they were reading a story. And it says, it is in our best interest with this to make sure we bring you honest, straightforward. And every station, you know, they had them all. And it wasn't just all NBC. Don't go there. It wasn't a corporate decision to do that. It was everywhere. But Biden's cancer diagnosis raises fresh questions about his health in White House. Why? That's the BBC. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to read all this. I printed this out at work after people started asking me questions. And so I have a couple pages here. And let's see. Yep, he has cancer. It's spread to the bone. It is metastasized, very aggressive. Received news on Friday after he saw his doctor last week for his urinary symptoms. According to the NHS, it's usually developed slowly, meaning some live for decades without symptoms or needing treatments. In Biden's case, the cancer is aggressive, and his family are said to be reviewing options for treatment. Screening for prostate cancer is part of a routine presidential health inspection, according to Dr. Jeffrey Coleman, the former White House director, or doctor rather, under President Barack Obama. So that is, depending on who's in there, it says right here that is it according to him. But who's this Dr. Jeffrey guy? I don't know. Obviously, Obama's doctor. So he gave us news when Obama was in there as well. Prostate cancer, second leading cause of cancer deaths in American men. That according to the American Cancer Society, behind lung cancer. More than 300,000 new cases will be made in the U.S. this year, according to the projections from the American Cancer Society. 1 in 8 men diagnosed during their lifetime. Not uncommon for men in their 80s to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. The grade and stage of Biden's cancer are more advanced than most men would encounter at diagnosis. The prostate cancer has been characterized by a Gleason score of 9. So once again, there it is, scale running from 6 to 10. Higher numbers will indicate a more aggressive cancer. Gleason score of 9, such as Biden's, means it's high-grade cancer. Cancer cells with a score of 9 look very abnormal and are likely to grow quickly. Biden's cancer is aggressive in nature, already spread to his bones. While there are medical-based treatments such as chemo, steroids, and hormone therapy available, more medical options to stabilize the patient and control the cancer, but it will never get rid of the cancer completely. Well, there you have it, boys and girls. Just a quick overview of what's going on. They can't take the news and just give it to us. They have to take it and twist it and make it about something it had no intention of becoming. All right, if there was a plan for this to come out and people to get a PSA test, I'm saying that would be, okay, let's do it. Let's wish him well. I think the fact that we have to jump on this political thing and destroy each other's thought patterns, and the fact that we have to jump on this bandwagon of negativity and everybody fighting about, did he know it? What are they hiding? What was his condition when he was in the office? Remember when he was in office. It's over. Let's move on, people. He is sick. He needs your support. He doesn't need the BS. If they covered it, they covered it. Did it affect us? Yes, because maybe somebody would have had a PSA test sooner and they would have found it sooner and it wouldn't be at this stage that he has, because it does happen. All right. So with that, I am going to get out of here because I think I've said enough on this until there's more info that comes out. And if it's all political, yeah, I'm not going to be talking about it. You'll obviously see it and hear about it everywhere you look and go. So my friends, until next time, you guys need to share this with your friends. You need to say, this guy's on here. It's kind of like a little talk radio half-hour thing that he does, and he gets goofy. He runs around the playground, but he always comes back to a point at some point. Exactly. So until next time, my friends, you guys, you be good.